Well, thank you very much, Rajul, and thank you to IFPRI for inviting us to come and give this presentation. So, the shape of food security, I'm going to talk about how we progressed over the first 10 years. I'm also very pleased that we have with us our senior editors, the president of the ISPP, and also Melinda Paul, who is here, and we'll have, I hope, great discussions amongst ourselves and with members of IFPRI. How did the journal start? Well, the inspiration was Norman Borlaug. As I'm sure all of you know, he was the father of the Green Revolution, and he addressed the International Society of Plant Pathology back in 1998 in Edinburgh and said, basically, what are you guys doing about food security? And we didn't say very much at the time, but we did do things. We started up with a meeting in Bangkok the following year, and then we started doing various things with the limited money that the ISPP could afford us. I'd like just to mention that critically, Norman Borlaug, of course, being the father of the Green Revolution, he produced wheat plants which were short-strawed, so more of the photosynthate went into the grain, and very critically, resistant to perhaps the worst disease of wheat, wheat stem rust. Now, what were we doing about food security? Well, that begs the question, what is food security? Well, one definition, which I'm sure most of you are aware of, is that a definition given by FAO at the World Food Summit in 1996. And this states that food security is met when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Now, under the presidency of Peter Scott of the International Society of Plant Pathology, we progressed with making a task force for food security, and we did a few things. But another impetus for starting a journal was that we were asked to write a paper for food security, for the annual review of phytopathology. And this set us thinking, what else could we do? And somebody said, why didn't you and Peter start a journal? Well, we did. And the thing was, we wanted to know if there were journals about food security extant at the time. Well, I plugged in food and security into databases, and there were 23 journals which had at least 5 papers with those 2 words in the titles over a period of these 3 years. The different colors mean different journals. I think the blue one was water, for example, pink, economics, etc. And we had then various reasons for starting the journal. First of all, there's what I like to call Norman Borlaug's gauntlet. He threw down his gauntlet and said, what are you doing about food security? And then we had support by distinguished scientists, which Peter got hold of. And then thirdly, food security papers were widely distributed in the literature. And fourthly, I'm grateful to Serge for this, mentioning that, well, the importance of plant health to food security. And as I think you mostly know, next year is the year of plant health. So Peter and I got down to writing a proposal, and we were taken up with our proposal by Springer. And Springer invited us to a meeting in Dordrecht where they had the more biological periodicals. And they said, there was no discussion really, they just said, how big would you like to have your journal? You would have it like this size or this size? And so I said, well, the largest. And how many would you like to have, a single column or double column? Or double column. So there and then it was set up, and Springer made a prediction that we would have about 6 papers per issue and 4 issues per year, so a quarterly. And how many pages per issue? 80, so 320 for the year. So we were quite happy about that. And there was a problem. What would we call it? We've got a very wide scope of aspects to this subject. We have the physical environment, the biological environment, and the socio-economic and political environment. I mean, there is a lot in that. So we eventually came up with the answer, we'll call it food security, the science, sociology, and economics of food production and access to food. And indeed, the journal was launched at the meeting of the International Society of Plant Pathology in Turin in 2008. The person, this is Susanna Bernhardt from Springer. This is my friend Peter Scott, with whom I started the journal, and you can see who the other one is. So we can ask the question, I expect you would like to ask the question, what sort of papers do you publish? Well, we publish papers about the physical environment, soil, water, climate, the biological environment, diseases, principally of plants, but also of animals. And we need perhaps more of that. Animal source foods are very important. And there's insects, entomology, perhaps we should say, and weeds. Then we have the sociological environment. One finds that, for example, in some patriarchal societies, the men and the boys get the best food, and the mums-to-be, the women and the young girls, get the least good. That's the wrong way around. Nutritional environment, extremely important. Why do people not have a proper nutrition? And over half the world's population does not have a proper nutritional environment. And finally, the political and economic environment. Now, you'll recall that Springer thought we'd have 320 pages a year, and this is what they thought. 2008, when we set the journal up. This is the first issue, 2009, where we were about 50% up on that. Slight fall back in 2010, but after that, there was an arithmetical increase. So by last year, we had over 5 times the predicted number of pages in the journal, over 1,600. And indeed, the impact factor has risen now to 2.97. So a diversity of subjects within food security requires more than one editor. I'm very pleased that all 5 of these of the senior editors are with us today. Ryman Rutter from the physical environment, biological environment, Stephen Waddington Connie, Arnold Kinders for the sociological environment, Michael Dibley from nutrition, and politics and economics, Daryl Watson. How do papers flow in the editorial process? The usual mechanism is this side, but of course some papers are really not appropriate at all. They're dismissed, and then there are these variations. So I think I've got precisely 11 seconds to go. So this is the time for me, with great pleasure, to hand over to my successor the baton. And if the arithmetic increase carries on, then he's going to have to run faster than me, and very good luck. He's younger.